Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Dan Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Hooker, and today we have my week one predictions in the college football season. And this week's matchups, there are a lot of important games and there are a lot of high ranked games to where we're going to look at college football saying this week one is going to be very pivotal to many teams. So in our first matchup, we have Auburn versus Baylor. Auburn is a team that has failed to meet expectation. Auburn is a team that has a lot of talent, but they seemingly can't put it together and they can't win the big ones. Because Auburn is a team to where we know them for competing in the SEC West, competing against Alabama, competing against the LSUs, competing against the Ole Misses. But now it seems like in the SEC West, there's like Texas, Alabama, LSU's Ole Miss, and then they're right here. So, with that being the case, this game one is very pivotal because you have to look at what they did in the offseason. They went out and got Eric Singleton. They went out and got Jackson Darnold. So now you're trying to put those pieces together to make sure you have a winning season, and you have to at least show that you've shown growth, because if not, Hugh Freeze, you will be fired before the season is over. On Baylor's side, Baylor hasn't been a top, I'll say, an upper echelon team in the Big 12 in a while, and as I recall, 2024 season, Dave Arianda was looked at to be fired. Many people were calling for his head, but the athletic department said no. Let's give him one more year. So this shit right here is very pivotal for him and his coaching future at Baylor, because he's a great coach, great defensive coach. But if he can't somehow not replicate the success he had in 2021, but at least show directions, shows growth, shows those signs that Baylor is a team to watch out for in the Big 12, then he will be gone too, maybe even before the season as well. So now the pressure is on both teams. And so I'm predicting Auburn to win this game 20-13. Because in my eyes, Auburn knows that this is a can't lose game, because if not, Auburn has to face a lot of high ranked teams in their schedule this year, and knowing how the SEC works, knowing how hard it is to win in the SEC, Auburn knows that they can't afford to lose this one. And so now we're moving on to our next game. Colorado versus Georgia Tech. Colorado is a team of turnover. What I mean by that is their turnover a new leaf, with Shedeur Sanders gone, Travis Hunter gone. And so we look at them like, okay, who's the starting quarterback? A couple days ago, they just named Caden Salter. Coach Prime just named Caden Salter the starting quarterback, while also having a 5-star quarterback on the bench with Juju Lewis. So when I look at this Colorado roster, it's like the wide receiver number one, in my eyes, is Omarion Miller. So when I look at it, I'm saying to myself, he contributed at a high level his freshman year, got hurt his sophomore year. Now this is his third year at Colorado in this system. I'm expecting big things out of him. But also, now, here's my case for Georgia Tech. Because in my eyes, Georgia Tech is the better team than me. Georgia Tech is a team that I have to watch out for because A, they're physical. 2, long possessions wears out your defense later on in the game. Because I've seen Georgia Tech be okay with having 8-minute drives, a 6-minute drive, a 7-minute drive. By the end of it, we're at halftime, and your defense has been out there for, out of those 30 minutes of the game, they've been out there for at least 20. So now when I look at that, I say to myself, can Colorado come out to a fast start? Because we knew last year Colorado could put up points. But with the new quarterback, with new weapons, how can that chemistry look like on the field, not playing against your own defense, but how fast can you guys gel and gain speed? So then, for me, I look at Georgia Tech. They have Haynes King. They have Jamal Haynes. They have FIU transfer Eric Rivers. So now I have to say to myself, can this Colorado team match up to where Georgia Tech's physicality can ultimately win them this game? Can a home crowd of Folsom Field be a factor against Georgia Tech? No, I think not. I think Georgia Tech wins this game 27-17. I think Georgia Tech leaves Folsom Field, beats the Colorado Buffaloes, and looks to be a sneaky team that can earn a playoff bid this year. For this Texas and Ohio State game, I'm looking to myself as the Big Ten has been saying they're good. The SEC's been saying they're the best team, they're the best conference in college football. So now, in my eyes, is looking to see, okay, the SEC is sending one of their best to go out there and play the Big Ten's arguably best team. So now we're going to see a game full of talent, a game full of, okay, there's a lot of elite talent on the field, but which team dog is going to show up today? Because Caleb Downs is a dog. Anthony Hill Jr. is a dog. But I want to see who comes out, because I want to say both quarterbacks is going to be their first true start. And I'll say it like this. Julian saying this is his first true start. Arch Manning, this is his first true road start. So now I'm looking at myself, okay, which quarterback can find that groove first? Which running game helps their quarterback out more? Because I know what Texas have with C.J. Baxter, with Quintavious Wiseman. So I don't know what Ohio State has, because I want to see what Ohio State brings to the table. Because last year, Ohio State could rely on Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson. Can they do the same this year? And I want to say this. I think Ohio State pulls this game out 31-27. Because I think Julian Sayin finds his groove first. Not only throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith, but the X factor of this game, Carnell Tate. Because all eyes will be on Jeremiah Smith in a sense to where Texas knows what they have to do to guard Jeremiah Smith. Texas knows that Jeremiah Smith is the number one problem. He's the number one on the scouting report. But that Carnell Tate, let's not get it misconstrued, because Carnell Tate has a chance to be the wide receiver 1 of this year's draft. And he's a wide receiver 2 on his team. Carnell Tate is a wide receiver 1 on 95% of teams in college football. Now he sacrificed himself being a wide receiver 2 to Jeremiah Smith. Give me the Buckeyes, and give me the Buckeyes by 4, 31-27. Syracuse versus Tennessee. We have two transfer quarterbacks, Joey Aguilar for Tennessee and Steve Angeli for Syracuse. I think that these two coaches have two different coaching styles. Will be a very good seeing. It'll be a very good game seeing how both teams' philosophies happen in real time, because Joey Aguilar, we've seen what he did at App State. He was a gunslinger, but at times he made some bad decisions that led to turnover. And in a game like this with Syracuse and head coach Fran Brown is okay with saying, okay, we'll run the ball 30 times this game. We'll take away this much clock away from you guys, because we know how much you guys want to run up the score and how you guys' offenses are. And I know that this game will be a lot for Tennessee fans if a loss happens, because Tennessee knows that this season, the Alabamas, the Georgias, seeing those two teams on your schedule, knowing you have to face them, but also a team like Vandy. A team like Vandy last year, at the start of the season, we're looked at as like, oh, that's just Vandy. But as the season got long, be like, oh, that's Vandy. To where Vandy was a formidable opponent. now they can't take no weeks off because, as everyone knows, it's hard to win the SEC. It's so hard to win it in the SEC, whether you're on the road or at home. It is a neutral site game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but Tennessee is closer at home, and it'll feel somewhat of a home game for the Volunteers, but I still believe in Fran Brown and the Orange to get it done. Moving forward, Alabama versus Florida State. I think that Florida State's quarterback, Tommy Castellanos, has done a great job trying to ignite a fire within this game, making sure eyes are on this game, because he knows that if he didn't do that, we would look at this game as, oh, this is a 30-point blowout, or this is a 20-plus point blowout, because we know that Florida State is not with the Florida State that we used to know, but he's trying to reignite that fire, trying to reignite that passion within the locker room to get his guys ready for a big-time matchup coming to Doak Campbell Stadium. And I know that Alabama's down 3 starters. I know that. So when you have a already injured Bama coming into your spot, knowing that the crowd's going to be rocking, the crowd's going to be behind you, I believe that ignites some extra fire, some extra energy within your team. But now, can you sustain that energy for all 4 quarters? In my opinion, in this game, I think Bama sneaks out with the win. Because I think Ty Simpson makes a play, and he throws it to Isaiah Horton or Ryan Williams, and he gets the job done, and Bama sneaks out with the win. And now for Bama, how good can Ty Simpson be? Ty Simpson can be exceptionally well because he has the weapons to do it. He has the scheme to do it. Because the board had Michael Penix Jr., and the board turned Michael Penix Jr. into a top 10 pick. Now, I'm not saying that can be the same for Ty Simpson, but I can say the same that the recipe of success can be the same as to winning big-time games and winning in a college football playoff. So now, our second to last game is Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. I'm choosing South Carolina 24-17. And I'm saying it like this. South Carolina has a team that has to rely a lot on Lenore Sellers. And in my eyes, having Rashul Faison getting cleared by the NCAA helps out a lot, because we saw last year that at times the passing offense wasn't there. So they did, they went to the ground game. Rocket Sanders 5 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, and then he exploded for a big run. And so we've seen it happen to where a running back helps out this offense so much that Lenore Sellers can even help out himself, being the exceptional athlete that he is. But now, in the passing game, you still have Jared Brown. But everyone, all eyes be on Nick Harbor, the former sprinter for South Carolina. Because he's above 6'3", and he can fly. But can he be a true number 1 wide receiver within this offense? That's what I want to see on Saturday. And also for Virginia Tech, if they want to get the upset, how great can Kyron Drones be? Because we know that 2023 season, he was phenomenal. He made things go. But 2024, he was injured. There wasn't a lot of spark within himself, and there wasn't a lot of plays being made by him. So now, I think that South Carolina wins. I think South Carolina moves forward, and I think South Carolina builds momentum into the next week. Now, for the last game, Notre Dame versus Miami. Notre Dame versus Miami is a case of this. I'll paint you a picture of 2 teams having high expectations coming in from last season, but 2 teams that have a lot of moving parts. For one team, there's one mainstay that everyone knows and loves, with Jeremiah Love. And with Miami, you lose the number 1 draft pick, and now your offensive coordinator says you have another one in your room already with Carson Beck. And so I'll say like this: the 3 keys to the game are can C.J. Carr help out Jeremiah Love? Because we know Miami's going to be focusing on Jeremiah Love. And we know that can Miami replicate what they did last year to this year? Because is Carson Beck Cam Moore? No. Is Carson Beck an extender like Cam Moore? No. Does he have the weapons like Cam Moore? No. But can he make it work? Yes. And that's what I want to see out of Miami. Because Notre Dame's going to pressure. They're going to send 6 most of the time. They're going to rely on man-to-man. So can your guys show up? Can CJ Daniels show up? Can Josiah Trader show up? Can Nye Carr show up? Can those players show up to get you guys a top 10 win? And that's what I want to see. Because Notre Dame, we've seen Jalen Greathouse use that momentum all throughout the playoff to show that he's a true number one wide receiver. I can't say the same for those 3 other guys because I haven't seen it yet, except for C.J. Daniels. But he did at Liberty. But now you want to see him do it at a higher level. You want to see him do it at a Power 4 level. Now, which weapons will show up that day? I have more trust in the Notre Dame weapons show up more because of the Notre Dame's defense and how strong and how disciplined they are. They'll make things difficult for the Miami weapons to get open. I think that Notre Dame wins. I think Notre Dame wins 24-17. I think they win 24-17. And that's what I believe what happens in week 1. I want to say I appreciate you guys for coming and watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.